not
jumping
flyers,
into
but
game, and we'll see.
I'm thinking yellow. Okay, let's go.
Oh man, I should have just said yellow from both.
Bam! So hard to tell yet which yellow deck Heavy's playing. I mean, Flashwind is making its way into. Honestly, the versions are kind of converging. Everyone's decided Windstorm Archer is one of its best cards in yellow, and Flashwind is one of its best supports. So yeah, we'll see what he's running. If it's got Sagittarius, if it's got Champions, and same for Matthew. Though, damn, that is the hand Matthew wanted to start with.
Oh wow, and this is going to be a very quickly played game. Now both hands are going to play out pretty known. You know, Heavy wants to get out his desert, explore Desert Kalim, and Matthew just wants to get multiple deserts out so he has the option to Last Nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew doesn't really have any choices yet, but Heavy has two. Does he want to be on the same side of the board as Matthew, and does he want Kalim to be on the side or in the middle? Because probably the ideal normally is you have your lands on the same side as the opponent, but Kalim would be positioned on the other side ready to double collect without help. But that's not possible. So you need to make a choice. Do you want the better Kalim positioning, or do you want the better lands?
And judging by seeing the Flash Wind in both players' hands, I think we can assume they're both running archers, right? At the very least.
Oh, yeah, I think so. With It's normally seeing Matthew's lands, I would say he's a champion list, but you really can't tell when his hand was double Last Nightmare Flash Winds.
Right.
He has a couple of choices here. He could play the Fanatic, which, I mean, would get Soul Drained, but, not playing Gazmas isn't great either. And if he does play the Fanatic, there are two places he could put it. He could put it in the middle to play around Wind Soldier, or he could just play it on the well as the more greedy line.
Is there a reason to save it when you have Flash Wind in hand already? Like maybe you'll get more value out of having the Fnatic double collecting?
Yeah, I think I would have put the Fnatic on the well, because at least if it gets Wind Soldier, it's, they only collect once rather than later when they might collect twice with the Wind Soldier.
Yeah, plus Wind Soldiers are going to be killing off your archers or your Outland Rangers anyway, which is almost the same value.
Yep. But still, so Matthew's saving the mana, which means he can actually Last Nightmare if Heavy did drop something too outrageous. So that's good. And I guess Heavy has the same kind of choice here. So Heavy drew, which says he might be the Sagittarius version rather than the one that wants 5 deserts. His hand is, I mean, it's okay. With what he has now, I guess you play the Archer, and then again you get the question, do you play the Fanatic? So in the same way, he has Flash Wind, so he doesn't need the Fanatic to help the Archer. So he could play both to make sure he gets a collect. That looks like what he's doing. So Fnatic in the mid. Oh no. Oh, whoops. I missed that. So Fnatic on his opponent's land. It's pretty nice. But Matthew can still clean this up. So he could win Soldier the 3-2 and then play Doomdrake in the middle, which would pretty much ensure it survives for long enough to kill the Archer with Flash Winds.
Well, Wind Soldier and Doomdrake is 7 Feria, so he would have to Flash Wind if he wanted to do
Wind
that?
Soldier. No, he makes an extra land and collects with the Wind Soldier.
Oh, okay. I had assumed you wanted the Doomdrake developed here. But yes,
Oh
he
no,
could
no.
just
You
develop
put
it
it
here.
you put it in the middle, because then the opponent needs two pushes in order to hit it with the Archer.
Right. Good catch.
Yeah. Okay, so Matthew, that pretty much guarantees that Matthew is the Windborn champion deck, which is good because that deck has more comeback potential, whereas the Sagittarius version is more snowbally. And Heavy drawing again is honestly he could still be either. Like his hand isn't too strong, so drawing is just so nice.
Yeah, and Doomdrake's a really cool inclusion right now, because if so many people are running these Archer decks, having Doomdrakes with Windborn Champions, Fanatics, and Flash Winds, Doomdrake's a very good mobile creature for just getting good trades.
Yeah, like Archer often seems to be worth a three, the equivalent of 3 mana, maybe 4 if you've got the right synergy. But against Doomdrake, it practically costs, it might as well be a 1-drop, right? It just does 1 damage and then dies. So yeah, I mean, Heavy's doing fine here. He can't deal with the Doomdrake, but he's been collecting more than Matthew. So Matthew could kill either here. I think normally you kill the archer because it's scarier. The 2/4 will almost certainly die killing the Drake, even if Heavy had a spell. But if he does kill the archer, Wind Soldier would finish off the Drake, leaving the charger uncontested. I mean, let's not miss words. Matthew's in a bit of trouble here. His hand
Yeah.
didn't cooperate. Um,
I think what you normally want to do though is kill the archer, due to the fact that when Charger trades into something, it at least takes the damage back, and most of the yellow creatures have decent enough power that it'll have dealt enough damage, whereas the archer is just really snowbally if it has flash winds or any event synergy.
so the other choice Matthew makes is does he want to land or draw this turn? I guess or +1. I mean, one thing he could do if he's feeling like it is move the Doomdrake up 4, kill the archer, and put a desert on Heavy's face, which might set up later charges for when you're going for a kill move. Interesting. So he's setting up the Fanatic to try and collect the light. I like that. He's gone, I can't contest this charger, so I need to find somewhere else to collect. It's unfortunate that he's now played all 5 deserts he'd want to play this game and isn't quite in the place he wants to be with them. He still needs to make more lands to collect with the Fanatic, and he doesn't have the Wind Soldier path on the left for double collecting and killing. But that's easy to fix. He just double lands once.
Yeah, and this is also going to be bad for Matthew because HeavyCC just drew the Soul Drain, so with Soul Drain and Wind Soldier he can clear the board, and he can even clock Matthew, well I say clock, but deal a decent amount of damage, hitting him for 6 if he wants to.
If you're Heavy here, do you Soul Drain or do you Flash Winds? Like the line I see is put a land under the 2/4, scoot down, Flash Wind it over to 3/2, and then put a land maybe like to southwest of the 3/2, so that then you're one desert away from having the collect and threaten face spot, and you've already built your prairie.
I think for me it would really depend on just how much of a rush deck Heavy is. If he has multiple Zealous, I think I would prefer just hitting the face.
It would be for 4 damage. Oh no, 6 damage. I mean, that's a lot of damage, so I can definitely get behind that. Okay, so he's doing what you suggested and just 6ing his opponent. So he's still got 2 removal spells. It's going to be very hard for Matthew to come back from this. Not so much because of the damage, but because not only does Heavy already have a creature out, but Heavy also has 2 strong removal spells. Being disconnected also doesn't help. We might have to... Well,
Yeah,
we should tell him.
hopefully Matthew can reconnect in time.
Yeah, so I'm in contact with Atmaz about this. Guess we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully Matthew comes back. If not, okay, Matthew's back. Though he's probably not happy what he returned to. This is, I mean, from Matthew's side, this looks hard but not lost. But he can't see that Heavy has 2 removal spells in hand, so he's just passing. I like that. Anything he played would probably just have died, but now he can get to Kaleem, who might survive.
Yeah, that or drawing like a Windborn champion and moving it across the board to a safe spot would be really nice.
Looking at the way Heavy's playing, it's quite likely he's playing the Zealous Crusaders.
Yeah, and that's going to be game 1.
Yep. That was unfortunate. I mean, these yellow mirrors can be very snowbally. Not just because of hands with no creatures, but also because the first person to play an archer, if they have tricks, can just completely control the board.
Yeah.
That didn't happen here, but not having creatures also not useful. So what does Matthew have for his second deck?
I'd imagine it's something red you want to queue into this, but no, he's going to bring in his blue deck.
Okay, well, this isn't the hand he wants to start with. I wonder if he keeps one of them, though. Having either an Aurora or a Phantasm can both be very good.
I think this is an easy choice. Chat knows. You keep Mythmaker and the Mythic Phantasm. You
Oh,
just throw away one Mythmaker. Or, sorry, one Phantasm.
I do appreciate the mythicness of that Phantasm. That's pretty cool, actually.
But he'll go ahead and throw away both. And wow, Garden in blue. Okay,
Okay,
so do you think this blue might have ground shakers, or do you think it's just a Tecton Garden?
normally what we've seen from blue players is just Tecton Garden, but oh man, this isn't Matthew's day. His hand, this is the kind of hand that could be decent depending on the opponent. Like if you were being rushed by a yellow player without Last Nightmare, sometimes you just drop Beirut on turn 3 and they just die. But Heavy's just going to be collecting, he's going to play Kaleem. Like this Beirut's going to get completely outmaneuvered. So, oh, okay, well, never mind. Matthew is back in it.
Yeah, drawing Battletoads there was amazing, because now with the Mythmaker combo, he could kill a Kaleem that overpushes.
So it's interesting that Heavy decided to build to the opposite side of the known lake. I wonder if that was something he generally wants to do, or if he fancied it due to Kaleem. Because in general, when you're playing with Wind Soldiers, you want to be on the same side.
Yeah, although, for people that watched King Dan's in the ESL tournament, King Dan's, I think, every game built to the opposite side of the opponent so that your archers and stuff were safer to shoot across the map. So maybe Heavy has the same idea where, you know, hey, I'll set up archers on the opposite side, and then when you
Yeah.
try and rush towards me, I can Wind Soldier on your lands.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at where the Outland Ranger is, if that was an archer, it projects so much pressure. It's just very hard for Matthew to collect from the leftmost well. So as the other player, if the opponent builds the opposite side with archers, you either need to rush fast enough that you get past them, like past this killing field, or you need to take a step back and go to the other side.
So do you think Heavy will double land and trade with the Outland Ranger with the buff of Campfire by
I
using the
think
push mechanic of Fnatic?
I think if you don't believe that Matthew plays Falcon Dive, you just do this amazingly happily. It kills the Toad and it sets up for an easy kill on the Phantasm as well.
Would you
And
develop the Fnatic behind the Outland Ranger, or where the Phantasm is, in thoughts of maybe contesting the Toad?
normally these decks don't want to build that many lands because their cards are so cheap. So I don't think he wants to set up to collect his other well, especially because that might set up lands for the opponent to use in order to kill your archers. So yeah, I like how he's played this, and then you step over with the Phantasm and try to push in this one side. This is a really nice Wind Soldier path as well. It's going to be very hard for Matthew to keep fighting. Oh, but that was an insane draw.
Yeah, that was perfect. Now he has a
So,
way of healing up his creature, essentially.
yeah, for anyone who's been living under a rock, uh, Unbound Evolution is both one of the most powerful and one of the most infuriating cards in the game at the moment, because it's, well, as you can see from its text, it's quite random, but it's insanely powerful. Like, just looking at Matthew's hand here, he could play it on Aurora, and you've got a 6-drop that turns something into a 6/6. He could play it on the Phantasm after attacking and get a full heal into either a 6/4, a 7/5, a 6/10, or an 8/8.
Right.
So just, yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, it healed for 3. So that's already much better than, say, Ruin's Command.
Yeah, some of the ways of narrowing down the randomness is when there's a limited amount of cards it can transform into, you get a better idea of, okay, when can I do this, and it's always a good thing. And um, no matter what, you always end up with like an above 5 power creature when you unbound a 7-drop. So he knows he's going to be getting good stuff.
And he did. That's an 8/8. So this game was looking quite poor for Matthew. Just Heavy had the lands he wanted. Matthew had to Phantasm a 5-drop into a 5/5. I mean, Kaleem is arguably worth more than 5, but that still doesn't feel good. Um, and Heavy was just barreling down the side, and then suddenly an 8-drop. So how big a swing was that? That for 2 mana, Matthew generated 3 points of power and 7 points of toughness. He he pretty much played like a Vidal and Force worth of effect for 2 mana here.
Pretty good.
Uh, yeah. If you look at his setup, so the Toad's hopped over because he wants the option of Auroraing it this turn um, to keep contesting.
Yeah, and Heavy has a lot of options with drawing the Soul Drain, whether he wants to kill off the Toad, or he could just kill off the Volcanic Colossus by comboing his Wind Soldier and Soul Drain with his Fanatic.
What would you do here as Heavy?
I think I would be greedy and just kill off the Frog, and
Say go? Would you collect?
I'm trying to figure out whether I would use the Fanatic to block from a potential Banquet trade. I'm not really sure.
I wonder if you just chill here. As Heavy, you know that you have probably 2 Last Nightmares in your deck. You know that you have Chargers and Archers, which will be good against this 8/8. But
Right.
if it's Soul Drained, hit with Fanatic, hit with Wind Soldier, he's just used up so much of his potential power just slapping an 8/8.
Okay, so he stepped down kind of like how I thought I would, but you bring up a good point that if the creatures just stayed where they were, then you definitely do get to dictate when your Fanatic dies rather than letting him just step up, hit, and maybe unbound. So
I like this too, though. This seems fine. Like, Unbound's not so worrying when you've only dealt 3 damage to the creature. It's more when it goes down to 1 HP that you just go, man, this Unbound was unreal. So, I mean, Matthew has some options here. One funny thing he could do if he wanted to would be step up Lake Between the Worlds and summon Sturdy Shell and Aurora it. He could also just set up the Sturdy Shell to double collect.
I mean, Heavy's not running Banquets. That seems like a really good play to me.
I mean,
I say that in a sarcastic manner because normally when you have a Phantasm on the board, you dread it getting banqueted. But, Matthew
yeah.
gifted him the Phantasm.
Oh, very, very funny, Cappuccino. Okay. Yeah, no, Matthew actually has a lot of things to do here. He's got Garrodon, which means he can take a slower game if he wants to. So
At
where
the
he
very
is
least,
now,
you hit now, right?
probably. Or I mean, I like both. So stepping back means that he doesn't lose his 8/8 to a push effect, because that was almost certainly what would happen, right? The 3/3 and something pushes the 5/5 to finish off the 8/8. Stepping forward and killing the 3/2 would mean even if Heavy did go for the kill, he wouldn't get to collect. So yeah, both have their own merits.
Yeah, in this line of play, Heavy could almost be baited into just blocking the 8/8 from collecting. But Matthew has a Garrodon, so if he goes for that and develops another creature, he'll be playing into a Garrodon. This is actually really clever from Matthew.
Actually, interestingly, if HeavyCC blocks the 8/8, Matthew will be going to 9 mana, not 10, so he can't mount an Garrodon. So, I mean, Heavy still has to be worried because there's this card called Windfall, but just from what he's seen, he's not playing around Garrodon. He's playing around, or he wouldn't be playing into Garrodon. He'd be playing into Garrodon off a Windfall.
Yeah, but you guys all know, whenever Cappuccino talks of a play, it always a top deck saves him.
Yeah, always Windfall.
Yeah, it's always Windfall. So I'm a little surprised he didn't go for the block.
Yeah, what do you think the advantages are to moving it only 1? Is he trying? Maybe he's trying to bait the 8/8 to step over, because then next turn Heavy gets to double collect and kill with Flash Winds.
Maybe he's thinking, yeah, if the Colossus does move, then he only needs 2 movement tricks, or sorry, 1 movement trick for the Phantasm to hit in.
I can respect that. No, you know what? That's actually pretty reasonable. So, I guess... And I was thinking you could do a similar line by jumping down 2 with the 3/2 and stepping the Phantasm, so that the Phantasm could still respond. but actually that plays into Banquet. So
Right.
how Heavy's done this is actually really cool.
Do you take the opportunity to Garrett here, even though it doesn't really kill off the Phantasm?
And I'd be tempted to take the opportunity to Beirut here. And I mean, even if it overrides your own mountain, Matthew clearly hasn't had a Last Nightmare for a while, and you can't really leave this Beirut going for more than one turn.
What about just developing the Archon? You know,
Um,
make a
uh,
mountain, drop the Archon, take the trade, and then at the very least you have a 4/4 that could grow into a 6/6 if you top deck like a Windfall.
yeah, I don't mind that. So by playing so passively, I mean, it looks like Heavy's really behind, and he's not in a great spot, mostly because of the sturdy shell. But 13 mana means he's going to have a quite explosive turn here.
Yeah, and we can see HeavyCC is running multiple Crusaders, so it explains
Yeah,
a bit of why he tried to be so aggressive in the previous game.
yeah, but it's also kind of punishing him here. Just these Crusaders that he hasn't managed to trigger. What we haven't seen yet is Sagittarius. It's possible he's running just the Windstorm Archers and relying on them to trigger the Crusaders. And I mean, I think they're much stronger than Sagittarius, but this would be quite risky for the reason we've seen here. Oh, this is cool. So Heavy is not actually going to take the fight. Um, how big are these Archons? They are flipped
They are
because
triggered, yep.
they Phantasm and Garridan. Yeah, Heavy's got the mana, he just doesn't have the cards. He doesn't have the right card mix, and it's really unfortunate for him. And props to Matthew for his Garridan position. And we didn't really touch upon it, but um, he's ended up camping both of Heavy's deserts, and Heavy very clearly wants to draw at the moment, not make land, since I mean he's done nothing for 2 turns, 3 turns. You know, his hand isn't what he wants it to be. So by putting Garridan here, it makes sure that any charges or archers can be, well, spawn camped, as
Right.
it were.
And unless Matthew's running creations and he wants to creation Garridan, he could now play something like Beirut and not really mind if it overrides his mountains.
Yeah.
Because now that he's got his Garridan out, it's probably his only red card.
I was going to say the first thing you have to do here is kill that archer, right? If your opponent's been doing nothing for sort of 3 turns, like not really playing any creatures, and then they play an archer, like I would be terrified of it just killing, I don't know, even an 8 drop or an 8/8.
Do you think we'll see a draw and then Archon played?
I
Or
think
from this
we'll see
point,
a
is it just
lake.
going to be Lake?
Yeah, I think maybe lake outside is better because you just want to pressure Heavy while his hand's still weak. Yeah, this is, I like this a lot. So this is the other side of the Archer deck, and so and kind of one of the reasons it's called Cancer Archer. Like, part of it is because the deck can be very infuriating to play against with all its archers, since they can do free trades. But the other half is it's just really variable for both sides. Sometimes they get god draws with archers, with campfires, with flash winds, and they just kill sort of 5/5s for free. Other times they play archers, you don't even play around it, and then they hit you for 1. Um, so yeah, it's a mix. Heavy CC stabilized actually reasonably well here. He managed to kill everything that would be in range of this archer. So his hand is triple movement, triple movement effect. So there's a good chance he actually gets some work done with this archer finally.
Yeah, but Matthew will be going into 8 Feria, so if Matthew chooses to develop Beirut, unless HeavyCC draws into something like a Last Nightmare, it's going to be
Yeah,
a
he can't.
nightmare for Heavy to deal with.
He can't. Heavy can't draw for that either because he doesn't have 3 deserts yet.
So what I think is one of the ideal plays is to just step up, make a lake there, and drop the Beirut by double collecting with Sturdy Shell. Another option he has is to just play the Archon, and then he could draw if he wants to.
I wouldn't mind Archon Mochi or Beirut. So what's the punish to Beirut? So it has to involve Last Nightmare pretty much. Well, actually, let's see. I said it has to, but so Campfire is 3 damage, Sword Rain is 3 damage, Flash Wind is 1 damage. So he can actually kill Beirut here if you make, and he can do it without losing his archer. Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't even think about that. So he just wants to start triggering his Zealous.
This is brilliant because unless Matthew has banquets or some kind of way of making mobility out of his creatures, they're kind of in the middle of the map where
Yeah,
Heavy
that was
CC is
insane.
just going to be able to outrace them.
So Heavy's on 1 desert now, so if the Colossus steps down 1 and Matthew takes the lake, the empty spot next to the Crusader, um, Matthew's next things are going to be quite out of position. But I mean, they're going to include a 10-10 Zealous. This was actually a sick play by Heavy. I didn't see it at all.
From Matthew, would the Beirut step on the opponent's lake or in front of the archer? Now, I was looking at stepping onto the lake, but as we see, Matthew was mousing over just moving onto the ocean tile. What do you think? Because now it can be blocked from hitting face, whereas if it was on the lake, it could go face, unless he had double
Yes.
blocker.
If it was to the side, I guess you also have the unlikely but possible option of collecting with Beirut. Yeah, you're probably right that to the side. Yeah, I wonder why Matthew changed, because I actually think to the side is better. So Heavy. Oh, he does have 2 deserts, I'm an idiot. Um, but yeah, he doesn't really have very good summoning spots. So he can Sagittarius and Zealous, which is pretty sick.
Yeah, I think what Heavy's probably just working out right now is whether killing off the O5 is worth it, or whether he just double face and then Solace. Do you think there's anything else he's considering? Maybe killing the 8/8? No, there's no way.
He might just be running through the numbers and seeing if he thinks he can win by doing this. And I mean, it's going to be tight.
9 power and you get to develop another 10/10. And as you pointed out, if you Sagittarius and +1, you can fit that in as well.
Oh, so he's campfiring, killing 6. What's he killing, the 6s? No, he's going face. Wow.
Okay, this makes sense. The Sagittarius would block the Beirut from hitting face, but you don't really care. You're in a race scenario, and you're winning the race, most likely. So
Yeah,
just get out as much pressure as possible. It's very hard for Matthew to deal with a 7/7 now.
Yeah, no, Matthew's dead. That was an insane comeback by Heavy.
No Unbound. That's going to be it.
Yeah, well,
2-0
congratulations
lead
to
for
Heavy.
Heavy.
That was insane.